Welcome, 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 my dear brothers and sisters. It's an honor to be able to continue on our topic, the psychology of starting your own business, the subtitle, Working for Yourself. We've talked about the importance of fairness. We've made the distinction between job, career, calling, and destiny. And I'm going over the different businesses that I've been in and the lessons I've learned and the things I've done wrong and things I've done right, and sharing that with you for your own edification, upliftment, and guidance in the life that you're going through, that you're walking, the journey that you're walking. And what's very interesting, towards the end of the last lecture, I said, my father had said to me, you know, son, we Nerenbergs have to work for ourselves in our blood, and besides, when we work for other people, they fire us. So I've always known I'm a misfit. Then I asked how many people in the class feel like a misfit, and then everybody raised their hand. So the point is that within your deepest struggle is the seed of your destiny. Within your deepest struggle is the seed of your destiny. Being a misfit caused me to find my destiny, to go into my own businesses and manifest my destiny, and I'll be talking more about what that's about. Also, the intention to suppress my identity led to me finding a way to find my destiny, because I said, you know what, I have a right to be who I am. I may not be like you, but I have a right to be who I am. You have a right to be who you are, but I have a right to be me. As long as the expression of our true selves is done in a respectfully real manner, that is, with kindness, wisdom, and respect for boundaries. You be yourself, I'm going to be myself too. I'm going to treat you with respect, but you got to treat me with respect, even though I'm different than you. And I'm going to treat you with respect, even though you're different than me. So it led me to creating the social revolution of dialogue, which is a non-political, non-violent aspect of saying, you know, people are ready for a new social contract where they can be themselves and talk more deeply with one another. So my destiny is serving that mission. One of the missions that I serve was contained within my deepest struggle, to find some way to belong. I wanted to create a world where I felt I belonged. Why? Because I didn't feel I belonged anywhere. So I wanted to create a world where I could belong. And if I could belong, guess what? You'll belong too. But if I don't belong, you're probably not going to belong. Your children are probably not going to belong, unless you're a very highly conformistic person. And guess what? America, we're pretty individualistic. There's some other countries maybe you can, you know, just pretend you're like everybody else and you feel all right with it, but we don't. Most Americans don't. Most of us want to be ourselves. It's one of the powers of being an American. So I've talked about 5 of my businesses. The 5th one was where I had Baby Photographers of America. I sold it for over $1 million, had some capital. And with that capital, I became an investor. It was one of my businesses. I became an investor. And, you know, a lot of people look at charts, the stock's going this way, and they look at patterns and they invest. Well, I found a way where I made about 12% of my money. I went into a store. I went into Home Depot about, I don't know, 15 years ago, however many years ago, maybe 20 years ago. I said, I like this store. It's busy. I like it. So I invested in Home Depot. And I went into Nordstrom's at that time. Gee, this is great. I like this. So I invested in Nordstrom's. And I made money on them. If you go into a place and it looks like it's busy and they have a good service and the attitude's good and it just has that feel, that up feeling, that's a good basis for investing. It worked for me. And when I didn't do that, when I went with, I had advisors, when I went with their calls, they said, we got this hot stock, blah, blah, blah. You know, sometimes it worked, a lot of times it didn't. But whenever I went by, I like this place. It's publicly traded. I'm going to invest. It worked. So I'm giving you a good tip for if you're going to be, of course, I had capital to invest then. I didn't put huge amounts in, but I did put my money to work. Money making money. Made about 12% of my money. It wasn't a fortune. I didn't have tons of thousands. I didn't have hundreds of thousands in there, but I did make money on it with that principle as an investor. Didn't look at graphs and charts. Just went in and said, I like this place. Then my best friend Ed Jones, he built homes. He lived in Oregon. Well, I'd known him for many years. But he didn't have any capital. I had capital. He had the skills. He knew how to, build the frame, subcontract out the parts. So we went into business 50-50. I would put up the capital. He would build the homes. We'd sell them. So you can buy at that time a lot around Ashland, Oregon for about $15,000. Buy the lot, sinking maybe 40,000 at that time. So he had 55,000 tied into it, and sell it for 85,000, make 30, 15 each.